Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Inshallah, we'll continue our topic 4 or chapter 4 for halal food ingredients today with the topic entitled emulsifiers. Inshallah. So, what is emulsifier? Emulsion a colloid dispersion of liquid droplets in another non-miscible continuous liquid phase. Contoh yang paling mudah tengok mayonis. Kalau dengan ada emulsifier, inilah rupanya. Kalau tak ada emulsifier, dia takkan bind together lah. The term colloid and liquid are used broadly as some food lipids can be liquid or partially crystallized depending on temperature. The size and shape of the dispersed particle in emulsion vary based on composition and its processing condition. Dairy and salad dressing, for example, typically have very small particle, colloid range, less than 1 micrometer, while meat emulsion have larger visible fat particle. There are two main types of emulsion. As we know, first, oil droplet in water, or we call O per W, and water droplet in oil, WO. Okay. This is example. Secara mudahnya, kalau air, dia tak akan bergabung dengan minyak. Kecuali dengan adanya emulsion, oil in water, dia akan boleh menjadi satu solution yang well blended lah secara umumnya. Next, it's also possible to have multiple emulsion, gabungan emulsion tadi, where bigger droplets contain smaller droplets from another liquid phase. Water in oil in water, or oil in water in oil. Most food emulsion are oil in water system, such as milk, cream, mayonnaise, salad dressing, cake butter, and cream liquor. Exceptions include butter, margarine, and dairy spirits lah. So kalau kita tengok, nah structure-nya beginilah rupanya di bawah mikroskopik. Mana kalau kita boleh gambarkan uh, oil in water kan, oil minyak di dalam air lah, dalam, dan ni water in oil, water droplet in oil liquid ni. So wow ni pula, WOW ni ada dua condition lah, oil in water dan in water kan, something like that. Multiple emulsion, kita call it multiple emulsion. How does emulsion work? Emulsion are additive that aid in mixing substances that tend to separate, like oil and water. They have a hydrophilic or water-loving and a hydrophobic oil-loving end. Ada dua, kalau kita boleh gambarkan masa kita pernah belajar dulu, ada dua ekor lah. Satu kepala, satu ekor kan. Hydrophobic head and hydrophilic tail. The hydrophobic end, the hydrophilic end faces the water, and the hydrophobic end faces the oil, allowing for a fine dispersion of two. Ultimately, emulsion result in a stable, even mixture called an emulsion. Emulsion are crucial in food production, improving qualities like appearance, taste, texture, and shelf life. Kita pun tahu, mungkin kalau makanan yang ada emulsion, rasanya lebih sedap. Kan? Common food like margarine, mayonnaise, sauce, candy, packages item, and bakery goods rely on emulsion, emulsifier for their properties. Ini kalau kita tengok how does emulsion work, yang mana tadilah penerangan tadi lah, yang mana hydrophilic emulsifier ni, hydrophilic head dia akan memegang air, meanwhile hydrophobic tail akan memegang oil structure. That's why dia boleh bind together lah. So what are different type of emulsifier? Ada dua jenis lah macam biasa. Emulsifier in food production come from natural source, such as from plant and animal, or synthetic chemical with similar structure. So, itu orang chemistry punya kerja lah kan kita. For instance, lecithin E322, a common emulsifier in chocolate, can be derived from soybeans, egg, liver, peanuts, or wheat germ. Another widely used emulsifier such as pectin E440 is naturally found in fruits like apple and pears. So ini kepelbagaian different type emulsifier. For example, from lecithin, from emulsifier and potential product lah untuk kita apply. Tak semua emulsifier boleh digunakan dalam semua produk. Dia depend on properties, sama macam previous lecture lah. Lecithin biasa kita guna dalam coklat, carrageenan biasa dalam susu, kopi, dairy, dan krim, guar gum, xanthan gum, polysorbate, cellulose, mono and disaccharide, sucrose and ester, and etc. lah. Type of emulsion. An emulsion is a mixture of two substances that don't mix naturally, with one phase existing as small droplets suspended in the other. There is a layer between two phases containing a surfactant material. There are four significant types of emulsion in food. Ada four types. Uh, Oil in water emulsion, droplets of oil are suspended in an aqueous continuous phase. These are most versatile and emulsion of the emulsion type. They exist in many form. Kalau sedar tak sedar benda tu ada sekeliling kita je kan, mayonis, cream liquor, creamer, whippable topping and ice cream mixes, and their properties can be controlled by varying both the surfactants used and the component present in the aqueous phase. Ni lah empat type itu kan. Oil in water, water in oil, water in oil in water, oil in water in oil. Okay. Water in oil, emulsion are typified of butter, contoh butter, margarine, and fat-based spread in general. This depend on their stability more on properties of the fat or oil and the surfactant used than in the properties of aqueous phase. Maksudnya dia bergantung kepada jenis minyak itulah, jenis fat source tu lah. The third emulsion, water in oil in water. And oil in water emulsion whose droplets themselves contain water droplets, such as water in oil emulsion. Those are most difficult emulsion to produce and control because the water droplet contained in the oil droplets must be stable, as must the oil droplet contained in the continuous aqueous phase lah. Lastly, oil in water in oil emulsion, which is a double emulsion system in which the dispersed phase in an oil in water emulsion and the continuous phase is oil or plastic fat. Because of its limited application in food product, separately limited work has been done on the oil in water in oil emulsion. Ni boleh explore lah apa contoh-contoh untuk setiap type of emulsion ni kan. Ni contoh type of emulsion yang digunakan kalau dalam susu, milk or cream. Emulsion type dia oil in water, ni dispersed phase, continuous phase. So this is stabilization factors lah. Dalam ice cream, oil in water juga ada butter fat or vegetable, partially crystallized fat, volume fraction of air phase. So ini pembahagian ni lah, ada dua fasa dalam tu kan. Kalau butter biasanya water in oil, imitation cream, oil in water, coffee whiteness, oil in water, margarine or related product, water in oil. Okay. Dia untuk kita develop emulsion ni kita kena faham kedua-dua fasa itulah. Siapa akan bertindak sebagai dispersed phase, siapa yang akan bertindak sebagai continuous phase lah. Structure of food emulsion. Food emulsion are complex structure containing lipid, water, protein, polysaccharide, small surfactant molecule and various solutes lah. Itu ingredient penting untuk menghasilkan satu food emulsion lah. The arrangement of this component influenced by their chemical affinity helps reduce the system free energy. Some proteins and surfactant are found at the interface between the oil and water phase. Water-soluble polysaccharide are mainly dissolved in continuous phase, affecting the viscosity and product stability. Next, oil in water interface. Oil in water interface usually contain high concentration of amphiphilic molecule, either surfactants or emulsifier. Gambar ni surfactant molecules ni kan. This component form an absorbed layer of different thickness of the surface. Surface absorption leads to a significant reduction in oil-water surface tension, lowering the system free energy. The quantity of molecule at the interface surface excess concentration is crucial for complete droplet coverage. Okay, this is the component arrangement in oil in water interface lah. Emulsion stability, destabilization mechanism. Each process consists of the following. Ada 3 proses utama. Yang pertama, creaming ataupun settling. Droplet move up or sometime down due to density difference with the continuous phase lah. Kita faham oil dengan water ni ada perbezaan density. Flocculation, droplets stick together when they collide due to attractive force at a specific distance. Ini berlaku reaction di situ. Coalescence droplet merge losing their individual identity kan. Dia bergerak, akhirnya dia bergabung lah secara umumnya gitu kan. Uh, First example of emulsifier is lecithin. It is widely used in food industry. Kita pun sentiasa dengar lecithin ni kan. The term lecithin may have different meaning in industry and chemistry. Vegetable ada dua sumber, vegetable dan animal. Vegetable lecithin ni come from vegetable oil refining by product, and then animal lecithin are obtained through specific extraction process. Ni sumbernya lah secara gambar rajahnya kan. Uh, First on vegetable lecithin. Vegetable lecithin are used to stabilize vegetable oils and aid in further refining. The degumming process involves heating crude oil with water and stirring to remove certain lipids. This process results in lecithin peptide containing water, phospholipid, glycolipid, and other components. The crude vegetable lecithin is obtained after the careful drying. Contohnya dalam kes ini, dia menggunakan soybean untuk extract the lecithin. So, the cleaning dapat soy meal, micellar filtration operation, dapat crude soybean oil. Daripada oil, dia plus add water and ada separator untuk jadikan soybean oil. Kita akan ambil wet gum ni, akan berlaku insert dalam thin layer evaporation to produce the crude lecithin. Jadilah vegetable lecithin. Next, animal lecithin. There is no standardized industrial process for producing animal lecithin. Pelbagai cara lah untuk hasilkan animal lecithin ni. For example, egg lecithin, a significant product in this category, typically produced through combined extraction using ethanol and acetone. Due to the different production process, egg lecithin are lebih mahal lah to produce and are not competitive with plant-based lecithin lah sebab cost dia lah. However, egg lecithin are crucial for infant nutrition due to their high content of arachidonic and DHA lah kan. DHA. And they are also used in pharmaceutical emulsion system in highly purified form. Ini kaedah lah. Daripada dia menggunakan egg yolk, dia dry, dapat powder, and then dia buat acetone extraction, deflated yolk powder, ethanol extraction, and then egg phospholipid and dapat lecithin lah. How is the structure? It is phospholipid, 2 fatty acid chain and phosphate head. Pernah tengok structure ni kan? Fatty acid chain non-polar, which is hydrophobic, and phosphate head is polar, non-polar. Fatty acid chain non-polar, phosphate head polar, which is water loving. Bila ada je dua properties ni, dia boleh bertindak sebagai emulsifier. So, the function emulsification between two immiscible liquid lah. Macam tadi lah, gambar tadi lah, yang memegang air dan memegang minyak tadi. Next, application of lecithin. Kita biasa guna lecithin dalam coklat lah. Coklat is a complex cylindrical product. Ada sugar, ada cocoa particle, ada milk, ada cocoa butter kan. So, grinding sugar crystal increase viscosity and excessive grinding can make the mixture solid. Adding small amount of lecithin will affect the viscosity lah without diluting the mixture. Phospholipid in lecithin align on sugar crystal acting as a lubricant and reducing viscosity. Excessive lecithin can lead to increase in viscosity due to the formation of additional layer kan. Ini contoh antara effect of lecithin on the viscosity of cocoa butter lah. Dia menggunakan dua item yang berbeza kan, cocoa butter versus lecithin. Next, application kedua ialah coatings. Coating salutan lah. Coating compound often made from cocoa butter or substitutes have lower dry matter content and viscosity compared to real chocolate lah. Typically, coating compound does not require lecithin. For ice cream coating, moisture from the ice cream can be a problem as it affects the viscosity and quality. The absorbed moisture can lead to issue like uneven layer thickness, excess material use, surface imperfections, and cracking. Lecithin, due to their affinity to water, can help to maintain the viscosity by absorbing the moisture in the product. Next, chocolate product with fat-based filling. Biasanya, lecithin ni kita gunakan ada yang fat-based products lah. Confectionery product with cream filling, contoh dalam kes ni kan, ada chocolate filling dalam tu kan, can face a problem as fat bloom. Rasa pun tak sedap kan kalau kita tengok kan. So, untuk mengelakkan masalah itu kita gunakan lecithin lah. Fat with a low melting point in the filling can become mobile and migrate, leading to surface imperfection. Higher temperature, specifically in warmer countries, accelerate the effect. Negara kita boleh consider that lah. Adding diol lecithin, dia ada special lecithin, can help immobilize the liquid part of the fat, reducing the problem lah. Mungkin akan datang you all nak buat produk macam ni kan, dalam product development nanti finally kan. So boleh cuba kan, oil, diol lecithin ni untuk make sure your filling is stable enough lah before over the time kan, sebelum kita consume kan. Chewing gum, emulsifier lecithin ensure homogeneous distribution of ingredient and improve the machinability in confectionery product. Sugar start to crystallize. If crystal growth exceed a certain size, the texture of the product become brittle. They provide a release effect, preventing candies from sticking to teeth. That's why kita makan chewing gum. Kita pun tak suka melekat dekat gigi kan. In chewing gum production, lecithin aid in moisture retention and influence the texture of the product. Kita tengok apa effect of storage time over bending force. Without lecithin with diol lecithin sama, dia pun guna diol lecithin juga kan. Ini storage time over moisture content, over the time dia menurun, tapi bila kita menggunakan diol lecithin, the moisture content is a bit higher, dia lebih, kita kata boleh retain water tu lebih lama lah. Next, dalam bread production, yeast leavening bread, phospholipid from complexes between protein starches and different protein fractions enhance the dough elasticity and homogeneity. Kesannya, increase in gas holding capacity and optimize baking. Kalau kita tengok, tanpa lecithin dia akan banyak lubang-lubang ni. Sebab air pocket tu lah kita kata. Dengan ada diol lecithin, dia boleh mempengaruhi structure tu lah, gas holding capacity itu. Lecithin have anti-stalling effect by hindering the retrogradation of alpha amylose, extending freshness. They form inclusive complex with the alpha amylose helices. This is the alpha amylose and amylose helices. Dalam dua jenis roti ni, kita akan lebih suka dalam production, kita akan lebih suka yang sebelah kanan. Sebab dia kurang, maksudnya saiz udara itu lebih konsisten. Okay. Dan kalau kita makan banyak-banyak lubang ni kan, dia kan dipenuhi dengan spread ataupun sauce dan kita letak dalam ni kan. So tak bagus kan. Next, frozen dough juga menggunakan lecithin. Frozen dough is a major convenient food but can face freshness challenge. Masalah dia kesegaran produk itulah. Deep freezing technology is used to interrupt the fermentation and offer semi-finished product for later baking. Freezing can damage the gluten network, kita pun tahu gluten akan mengeras selepas freezing, and yeast cell and also yeast cell due to ice crystal formation. Big crystal kesannya rasa tak sedap lah, kunyahan itu tak sedap lah. Lecithin help by ensuring even water distribution and protecting the gluten network and also the yeast cell dengan menggunakan protein lecithin, for sure the texture will become better lah. Okay. Next type of emulsifier is mono and diglyceride. Natural source of fatty acid and mono and diglycerides include plant oils such as soybean, grapeseed, canola, sunflower, cottonseed, coconut, and also palm oil. Plant pomace such as grape pomace and tomato pomace, and also some animal fats lah, can be categorized for the mono and diglyceride. Mono and diglyceride were used to create fine fat dispersion in high ratio shortening, strengthening the cake batters lah. Presently, the global production emulsifier is estimated at around 300,000 metric ton, which mono and diglyceride accounting for about 70% daripada market emulsifier tu di monopoli lah gitu kan. Banyak production of mono and diglyceride. Mono and diglyceride are widely used in application of bread, cake, margarine, ice cream, chewing gum, and also bakery product lah. This is the structure of diglyceride. Bila dia banyak, ni glycerol kan, menjadi glycerol kan. Mono and diglyceride are made through interesterification of triglyceride and glycerol, berlaku pada 200 hingga 200 degree Celsius with alkaline catalyst. The content may vary from 10 to 6% lah, depending on the ratio lah. Mungkin ingat tak ingat kan, kita pernah belajar dulu glycerol plus triglyceride boleh jadi pelbagai structure lah. So orang chemistry akan bermain dengan structure lah, main dengan percentage dan sebagainya untuk menghasilkan satu end product yang lebih stable lah dalam makanan. Uh, Chemical and physical properties of monoglyceride. Uh, it can come with liquid with pale to brown color to a waxy solid that can be flake, powder, and also small bits. They are insoluble in water. Distilled monoglyceride disperse in water better than mono and diglyceride due to their high purity and well-defined molecular structure lah. Dia lebih kecil size. Monoglyceride has with unsaturated fatty acid need protection from oxidative rancidity. Oxidative rancidity is a chain reaction involving initiation, propagation, and termination stages. Antioxidant hinders this reaction by accepting free radical and stabilizing them. Natural antioxidant like tocopherol are present in vegetable oil to provide the stability. That's why dalam vegetable oil biasanya akan ada lah tocopherol dalam ingredient dia. Synthetic antioxidant like alkyl gallate, BHA, BHT are also being developed to prevent the oxidation from occur lah sebenarnya. This is the process for initiator, propagation, and termination. Then legal consideration, mono and diglyceride are generally recognized as safe in the US and permitted in EU product. They have no specific limitation on daily intake and can be added to food as needed. Okay. How is the behavior? Konsep dia sama. Hydrophilic distinct monoglyceride from a gel when heated with water. The structure of gel is similar to the lamella phase with water layer alternating with lipid layer. Water layer, lipid layer. Adding co-emulsion increase swelling due to electric repulsion between the charge group to opposite bilayer. Effective co-emulsion are strongly hydrophilic. For example, co-emulsifier polyacetylene sorbitol ester and sucrose monoester. Contohlah, Eco, bahasa mudah kita, Eco akan pegang minyak, kepala akan pegang air. That's how it works, basically. Then, where we apply this product, this monoglyceride ni, biasanya kita guna dalam roti, bread. The effectiveness of emulsifier in baking depend on their dispersibility during dough mixing. Waktu dough mixing itulah dia bekerja lah sebenarnya kan. Monoglyceride improve the fermentation stability of dough, making them resistant to correct by mechanical shock. Complexation of monoglyceride with starch, especially amylose, enhance bread shelf life and crumb softness. This prevents tailing lah. Interaction of monoglyceride with amylose influence the freshness and texture. Nanti you ada rezeki untuk belajar food, bakery, boleh cuba try monoglyceride dalam penghasilan roti kan. Ada beza tak kan? This is the process lah, staling. What is staling? Breadness. Fresh bread will become stale bread over time. During baking, after baking akan jadi fresh bread. The stale bread we can reheat to become fresh bread. Tapi dia depend on ingredient tu lah. Dalam case ni kita tengok ni beberapa ingredient yang ada dalam tu, apa yang berlaku kepada ingredient over the process lah. Next, margarine and spread. Table margarine are water in oil emulsion, kita dah tengok tadi, with fat content 60-80%, stabilized by saturated monoglyceride. Monoglyceride provide fine water droplet distribution, smooth spread consistency, and a pleasant mouthfeel. Low fat spread with a fat content 35-45% require higher water stabilization and may use unsaturated monoglyceride for enhanced surface tension reduction and trapping large quantities of water. Cake margarine and puff pastry margarine contain approximately 80% fat and use monoglyceride for stabilization and structure lah. Kita juga mungkin you pernah tengok kan, ada butter, ada spread yang stable dalam peti sejuk, ada spread yang stable dekat atas meja. Dia depend on percentage of fat dan juga monoglyceride lah dalam application dia. Ice cream is a complex system of fat globule, air bubble, crystal sugar, protein, and also salt. Monoglyceride compete with protein, particularly milk protein, at interfaces to stabilize the emulsion. They reduce interfacial tension, promote desorption of milk protein, and control the emulsion during the freezing. Monoglyceride influence fat and particle size, distribution, firmness, melting behavior, affecting the ice cream quality. This is the example of what happen in ice cream lah. Whey protein, monoglyceride akan pegang ni water kan. Monoglyceride akan bantu untuk pegang fat dengan water kan. Di samping ada ingredient lain lah yang sama-sama membantu untuk menghasilkan satu aiskrim lah. Yang tengok ada air juga ni kan. Okey. Aiskrim dia gabungan tiga lah, lemak, water dan juga dia perlukan air, udara, air, udara kan untuk menghasilkan good ice cream, good structure of ice cream. Hydrophobic and lipophilic balance, HLB, is an index of solubilizing properties of emulsion and indicate the type of emulsion lah, sama ada water in oil, oil ataupun oil in water. The value range from 0 to 20. Emulsifier with low HLB require value are more oil soluble. So kalau higher, low HLB, more oil soluble ataupun lipophilic, while those with higher value are more water soluble. So, dia tengok macam tu lah. Emulsifier with HLB value 3 to 6 are lipophilic and best suit for water in oil emulsion, such as mono and diglyceride. Hydrophilic emulsifier with HLB value of higher lah, 10 to 18 are best suit for oil in water emulsion. So that's how we categorize that two type of emulsion tu lah. They depend on value of the HLB ini. Okay. Ini contoh lah nilai-nilai HLB. Then we move on to the halal issue related to the product lah kan. Halal status of E471 emulsifier is uncertain when the source of MAG and DAG is undisclosed kan. MAG ni okay, monoglyceride diglyceride. Food labeling regulation use E number instead of additive name. E471 represent MAG and DAG emulsifier, but doesn't specify the source. That's why current regulation di Malaysia kita kena specify sumber itu daripada mana. Itu latest kita punya regulation lah. Some of commercially available MAG and DAG will have mono and diglyceride will have been derived from hydrogenated lard, which is prohibited item under halal and kosher fabrication. So haram lah kalau menggunakan lard kan. From the religious perspective, use of ingredients from animal source is not permissible for Muslim consumer in general. For example, if the label reads that the product contains E471, it's doubtful because most of the time the source of MAG and DAG is not revealed. Through clear and proper labeling, consumer could verify themselves whether the product status either halal, haram, or doubtful. Recent incident involving E471 in product like coffee and mayonnaise have brought attention to this issue. So mungkin you boleh try pergi shopping dekat mall tengok ada tak E471 ni kan. Then kalau ada logo halal alhamdulillah lah. Tapi kalau tak ada logo halal, better kita tak consume lah that product kan. Towards halal authentication of emulsifier, we require analytical methods to determine the origin of emulsifier lah. Dalam kes ni, modern analysis method juga such as gas chromatography TOF-MS, GC TOF-MS, DSC and LCMS can be used to identify the source of the ataupun the purity of the food ingredient lah kan. The data will serve as a reliable reference to verify the authenticity of the product lah. Okay, that's all for our lecture today. However, ada sedikit task, you all boleh scan QR ini. Kita ada pop quiz untuk topik hari ini, topik for hari ini, sikit je soalan dia. And then kalau you all ada soalan pun, you all boleh tanya lah, boleh tulis di ruangan soalan kat situ lah. Ada. So perlu submit, make sure you submit quiz itu, klik submit tu before 5 PM on 28 October 2024 lah kan. Kalau tak dapat open guna Safari, kalau ada problem boleh copy link itu dan paste dekat Google Chrome search engine lah, and then boleh jawab soalan kat situ lah. So saya tetapkan the passing mark is 50%, harap semua lulus. Senang sahaja soalannya kan, insyaAllah. Ini untuk kita test pemahaman kita lah based on the lecture. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. InsyaAllah kita jumpa in the next class. Wallahu alam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.